Hi everyone, welcome to the penultimate picture in this Rita Berman series from her new Asian book. And as promised, I have calculated a pattern for the last two pictures so that we have a unique coloured background and a unique coloured semicircle loops. So for the fan, I have planned a grey background and red loops. Now, in order to have the red loops, we need some red in the fan. So I thought if we start off by making this flower red, then we know that we're away to a good start, really. So I'm actually going to grab this scarlet red and colour the flower. It could be a leaf, of course, but I'm thinking flower. Now, what's interesting about this is it goes right over this fold in the fan, and I was thinking of colouring the fan so that you could see the folds, the shadows in the folds, but with this flower, maybe the flower's on top of the fan, maybe it's not printed, but it doesn't look like a real flower, does it? It looks like a printed flower, so I'm not sure. I'm just giving it a nice, lots of layers. It's really striking. I think it's rather nice. And now thinking about the rest, we've got our grey background to come, so that will match anything really. I thought we might do these wooden pieces. I'm doing them wooden, they don't have to be. Whoops, my pencil is escaping me. The Van Dyke brown, and I'm thinking these pieces, I have had, as a child I had a couple of fans, and these pieces were actually plastic, but I think they look nice as wood. I'm just going to do a light layer like this and around there. Then I'm going to think about where it's going to be a little darker. So I'm thinking here there will be a little bit of shadow there, and maybe a little here and along there. And here we'd have these ones that are underneath would have some shadow like that. And then maybe in between these two, maybe that little piece is a little bit underneath, like that. There. Now I want, that's not finished, that's just my first layer. I now want another colour on top to warm it up a little bit. So I'm going to grab this terracotta light. It's a sort of yellowy brown. We don't have a lot of browns, so the yellowy browns can help us out here. I'm going right over the top of what I've done, like that. As you can see, it's just warmed it up. Layer that up a bit, it's a little bit pale. As we layer it up, it looks a little browner rather than just yellow. I'm happy with that. What I could do is do some lines on it to make it look a bit like wood grain, but I'm actually going to leave it. I'm not going to worry about that. Now the main fan, I've been thinking about what to do here. I think I'm going to do a sort of pinkish colour. Actually, yeah, I think the pink and red go together. Might be better to do purple, and then we'll find a pink that works with red. The cherry pink, that's got quite a reddish colour to it if you have a look at the end. So but we're going to use it lightly because it's quite an intense colour. So I'm just going to put it down lightly like this. Now I'm holding the pencil quite far back so that I don't apply too much, because I can't put so much pressure on the tip when my fingers aren't so near to it, and that means I can get it lighter, and also using it on the edge. Just looking at my calendar tomorrow. I've got something, it's my niece's birthday tomorrow, but I thought it was on Friday. But I put her card in the post yesterday, so hopefully it will reach her on time. I'll never know, because I never get a message saying whether they've arrived or not, so I don't know. Now what I do want to do a little bit of a darker line here, and then just bring that in, not too much because it isn't massively dented in when it's opened out, if that makes sense. I hope I'm making a little bit of sense. But just a little bit more intense colour in there. It also makes it look a little bit more interesting, which you might not be worried about. There we go. This bit in here, now I'm trying to think about the fans that I had. Some of them had lace in there, some of them it was a continuation of this piece. I think we'll put some colour in there. Maybe we'll go for a light pink. We've got the rose pink, maybe we'll use that one. Give it a go, see what you think. I'm going to again try really light. There we go. Now we need a piece through here. So I'm going to grab my cool grey and just put that in there. Of course we've got our grey background to come. Now we've got a cool grey and a cool grey deep, and to me they are quite similar. So I'm working with my cool grey, which I've got in my hand still. And I'm just going to layer it harder here and then less here, and I'll probably just end up just using this one colour. Sometimes it's easier just to have one colour. Don't have to worry about trying to blend another one in, but it means that you have to really layer it up on the edge to have a obvious transition to a lighter centre. I think the grey works quite well on this one because grey can look like a murky sky, and these pictures don't really indicate a murky sky, but because it's a fan, it's a little bit random. It could be down on a grey table or something like that. It's not necessarily in front of the sky in the same way as the umbrella might be. So it's a little bit awkward going all the way around. I would probably normally turn my book a little bit to help me. I'm trying to keep it the right way up for you, so hence I'm messing it up a bit. There we go. So I want to go back round that and make that darker. I really feel that needs to be darkened. Yeah, my niece started Dyck school, as we sometimes call it in the UK. So children change, well, sometimes they change. They have infants from 4 or 5 until, well, usually 4, until they're 7, and then they go to juniors. Now sometimes they go to a primary school which has both infants and juniors in the same school. Mine did. A lot of schools are like that, so they don't have to change schools. But when they get to 11, most children in the state school system, Scarlet read for the what I'm going to do is, like I've done with the others, make it a little bit darker here and lighter towards the tip. So children in the state school system, which is the free school system, most children will change schools at 11, and they'll go to a different, bigger school, and suddenly they're in a big school and they have lots of homework, and so the transition can be quite tricky. Mine only knew 2 other people when they changed schools, so most of the children went to a different school, so it's a little bit tricky, but you know, I hope she gets on okay. And if you pay for schooling, private school, then you tend to start, you may start at 7 boarding, but most children start at 13. They change schools at 13. I think it's because they tend to always stay until they're 18, whereas in state schools some children leave at 16. Mine did. because their school didn't have stopped at 16, and so that's why they're now at college doing this. They go to a college for 16 to 19-year-olds. So and some children start work at 16, or do an apprenticeship, or do a vocational course where they learn sort of health and social care, or hairdressing, or plumbing, mechanics, bricklaying, that sort of skill, all very useful skills. Or mine are more academic, so they are doing A-levels, which are academic qualifications, and hoping to go on to university. So you have to make quite a big decision at 16 as to what you want to do, because if you do a vocational course, you don't tend to go on and then go to university. You can, but the amount of you get points for the courses that you pass and the marks. The amount of points for the vocational ones don't always enough to get you onto a degree course. But it depends what you're studying and where you're going. If you're going to Oxford and Cambridge, which are obviously the biggies in the UK, or any other red brick universities they get nicknamed, you need very high grades. Right, I've got my white now. I'm going to do my usual white dots around the edge, but I'm thinking about this leaf. It's a little bit plain, so I'm going to put some white on it. And I think it will just help it stand out a little bit. I could do these dots, but I think they'll stand out better in black than white, to be honest. Because we've got quite pale colours. If I put my white on them, I think it will just look like I've erased them, rather than using it as a highlight. So I'm just going around the edge here and thinking. So yeah, university is where you do your degree. You study for 3 years. Usually, unless you stay on and do a master's degree for an extra year, or do a PhD or a doctorate, which would take you probably another 4-5 years full time, or even longer, depending on what you're studying. I think I'm going to make that do. I was just having a look at it thinking, should I add a little more white? But I don't think I will. And what you could do is you could put these dots and things in a different colour entirely, some purple, some blue, something like that, but I think it's okay. It is a little plain, very pinky reddy, but I'm happy with it. I think it looks quite cool. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for watching and learning all about our school system. It's very exciting. And hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and happy colouring.